Sometimes it's so popular, they put some honey in it. Why?
Yes, only because Tim mentioned it. Do you guys each have a copy of this?
Yeah, sure did.
Okay, awesome. This stuff that, emailed to me. I just want to make sure to spread the word. Because sometimes I don't know if they're emailing everybody or. Okay.
Are you gonna go?
I'm not. I'm not starting.
Oh, some bit. Steven just he forgot his Chromebook at home. I thought he needed it. So mom went, I'll be back. Now she's coming back, but there's a lot of traffic.
Mary asked me to wait. Just wanted her place. Mary's
Just push
Oh,
that.
yes, back there, yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Like, I don't just, but I don't understand that very.
Yeah, we were running short.
Yeah, I brought in 3 today, so.
I know.
Yeah, no, my wife's big on that stuff. Anything we watch out.
See you when I see it. Won't you see us?
Thank you. We're going to reconvene into open session at 6:02. We can stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So in closed session, the board approved the appointment of Becky Moore as our new Human Resources Director. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to everyone.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you. My name is Becky Moore. I currently am the Director of Human Resources for Salinas Union High School District, but am very excited about the opportunity to come and work here in this district. I was born and raised here in Salinas. My kids are all have come through school here in Salinas, and this is our home, so hopefully we'll be here for a long time.
Welcome. So moving on, Bolson Knolls Middle School student leadership.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Seves. I'm the ASB president of Bolson Knolls Middle School.
And my name is Steven Patel, and I'm the vice president of Bolson Knolls Middle School.
And we are going to be talking about the sports, events, and academics at our school. First, we will be talking about our fall sports.
First, we talk about our boys soccer. They are currently doing really good with 1 win, 7 losses, and 1 tie. We are really proud of them and hope they can succeed more in the future.
Following along, we will now be talking about girls volleyball. Both 7th and 8th grade girls are currently doing really good right now. 7th grade has a record of 8-1, and 7th grade has a record of 7-2.
It's actually 9-1. They just won
9.
over at the school today, just a few minutes ago.
Next, we'll talk about our cross-country team. They've been doing really good in bringing medals back to home. They have races every Friday, and they go to different places like Carmel and Natividad Park. Especially Sophia Martel, who has been named the fastest runner in Monterey County.
Oh, wow. Lastly, we'll be talking about fencing. Our fencing team has made about 35 more points, including the tournament. We recently had matches against Gatlin View. I am so proud to say all these teams have worked hard and gave all the dedication to their teams.
Next, we will be talking about the events that have happened at our school so far.
On August 30th, we had our annual beach trip. Over 200 kids attended and had a fun time. Foods and drinks were provided. This trip was a success and lots of kids made very great unforgettable moments.
On September 5th, we had our annual club roundup. This is where kids sign up at lunch to participate in any of the clubs that were offered.
On the week of September 16th through the 20th, we had our parent-teacher conferences. This is when the parents come and meet the teachers on a given day to talk about the students' grades and levels for reading and math, or behavior.
On September 20th, we had an Area 51 theme dance. Kids had a fun time and made lots of memories, and foods and drinks were provided as well.
We also have a new academic events this year, including a new elective.
On September 3rd to 4th, 3 of our math teachers, Ms. Alicia, Ms. Wagner, and Ms. Vaughn, went to Stanford where they learned math teaching skills along with teachers from other schools.
This year, we have a new elective called AVID. AVID is a class where kids have an opportunity to learn more. It helps you develop brain skills that will help you through high school and college.
On August 27th, professional speaker Rob Holiday came to our school and talked to our kids about how vaping is bad for you and the truth about vaping and smart vaping.
Thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions? Any more questions?
No, you did a great job.
Thank you.
I just want to comment and say thank you to your school for bringing up vaping. It's a major problem
Yeah,
right
it is.
now. And the fact that the school's being proactive and bringing that information to the forefront. And I hope your campus is taking the message seriously. And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Did you enjoy the beach trip?
It was really fun.
It looked like it was a beautiful day.
It was
Yeah.
very warm.
It was 80 degrees.
That's always a fun thing to do. We're pretty lucky that we live right by the Pacific Ocean.
So I know some of your family, but could you introduce your family and the personal staff to us?
Well, this is my mother. She is a medical assistant.
Hi, nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you.
She's proud of you.
I am so proud. Thank you.
And this is my sister, Trisha. She goes to Rancho San Juan. And this is my mom. She works at Wilson Wells as well.
Today's her birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
And there's my dad.
I forgot, 6th grade, I kind of neglected to say that that's my father. I totally forgot to introduce him.
I still don't forgive you.
Sorry, I love you.
I noticed what nice manners you had. You let your partner right here go first when you walked up there. It's nice.
Thank you.
Even though he's wise, he still deserves something.
Well, thank you. We really really appreciate it. Thank you to the staff for doing an amazing job. Can I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
I move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. 5.1, reports from district organizations, councils, or committees. Is there anyone in the audience to report out from SRTA or CSCA? Please.
I'm Kate Stover, the Vice President at SRTA. Just want to report that we really are enjoying and appreciate the open conversation that we can have with the district office, Melissa and Tim. It's just refreshing and we just really enjoy it.
Your district.
Did I say our district office?
I think you said that.
Okay, sorry, our district office.
You said
That's what I
that
meant.
district office.
Everything's great.
Everything.
Well, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Students, if you and any family members want to leave, please, we'd be happy to let you go, or you can stay for the business part of the meeting either.
It's just getting good. It's just getting good.
In no way we that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. I really appreciate that. I took care of the first time. Okay, so 5.2, report from school principals, directors, department staff. So,
If I can, a few items. The Parent-Teacher Resource Center that we have at Folsom Mills Middle School is paying dividends. We had our Parent-Teacher Conference Week a couple weeks ago. And the cool thing about it is as parents were finishing with their conferences, we had that available. So if a parent did not have access to Aries, the Aries parent portal, we then just escorted them over to the resource center, signed them up, had their login credentials sent to them, and now they're able to access. In much the same way with the science camp. So we were able to register them online as they were finishing with their 6th grade parent-teacher conference, had them go straight over there, register them, and so again, paying dividends, which is great. We have those available as well. We have parents that are taking English classes, or via Rosetta Stone, we have them also able to take a foreign language during the office hours, during the resource hours, which are 2 times per week. We had our volleyball, as you heard. We just came from where we are 9-1, and you heard that 6th graders started today over at the rec center, so they played at 5:15. We'll see how they did. And their coach there is Coach Rhonda Von Susten. You also heard cross country, Mr. Martell's daughter, who's undefeated and like forever, is deemed the fastest middle school runner, female runner, and heck, female probably beats the stuffing out of some guys as well, right, in Monterey County. So she's doing super well there. And then a couple other items. Hamilton, October 16th. They're traveling 1 week from today. We had a meeting with the 8th graders to discuss appearance, etiquette, etc., so that not only are they well dressed, but they're going to be very well behaved. We have our chaperones all taken care of. We actually had, as you can imagine, with Hamilton, we had an overabundance of volunteers wanting to volunteer chaperones. So we actually had to say, thank you, we'll get you next time. But that's happening a week from today at the Orpheum in San Francisco. They'll be leaving at about 9, returning to Bolsa at about 7:30. So that's all in the works and ready to go. I downloaded the music from Hamilton, so we are in fact playing Hamilton music, 1 song per break period, 1 song per lunch period, all into it. So they are definitely looking forward to it. We had a staff PLC, classified staff PLC today amongst others on the campus, and they sometimes are those that need to be included, of course, in the staff development. So we are signing them up to do some staff development at the county office next Thursday, which is geared towards paraprofessionals. So we met with them. getting them signed up, and it was good to make contact with them and to include them on our Wednesday PLC rotation. So again, that they have lots to offer, as they're not, they have so much to offer, so much experience to offer. So then including them in and creating a PLC for them to be able to come together and have those opportunities. And we have a pink theme, so we're all into it with the breast cancer awareness. Volleyball girls wearing their pink socks. We're flying a special flag beneath the US and California flag all month long, rotating between a black with a pink ribbon or a white with a pink ribbon to bring attention to breast cancer awareness. The wristbands and you name it, we're doing it out there. A pink volleyball, a pink soccer ball, so it's all thematic out there, which is great. Academic counseling is happening with our first round of grades that have been turned in. We have our counselor and assistant principal bringing our parents in of students who are, after one quarter, are showing deficiency. So we're bringing them in, and we've been doing that all this week. We started last week, so parents are again very well receptive of what we have to offer. Steering them towards the after-school program, the homework centers, getting them signed up for areas if they haven't already done so, and just giving them those opportunities to remain in contact in that open dialogue. And last but not least, we have, after 10 years, we fired up the kiln today. So it's been this pristine, never used, and because we have Miss Isaac, an art teacher extraordinaire, that we have the person, we have the pottery that went into it today. And by gosh, I was standing there, no joke, I was standing there just in case we had a little fire extinguisher off to the side. And I had Mr. Martell's back, literally. It's okay, Mr. Martell, let's do it. Let's go for it. They punched in the codes, they pressed start, and it was a very boring click, and it turned on. So that was it. But I was ready. So all good. And tomorrow morning when we come back, we're going to have some Sumerian tablets that have been fired up and ready to rock and roll with. So that in a nutshell is Bolsonaro. Thank you.
I want pictures of the Sumerian tablets. Send some pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
before we let John off the stage, I want to take, I just got our 2-month update from our attendance program, A2A, the attention to attendance. And the 6 sites, we have 2 sites. John's was one of them that had 100% of all of their parent conferences either scheduled or done. They had no awaiting conferences. So I just want to tell John, thank you. That program won't work if you guys don't do what you're doing. And so I want to make sure to publicly commend John and also Leslie Petronic and McKinnon. They're just, and everybody, but to have 100% of their parent conferences caught up it's really what's going to make the difference. Because if the parents don't know, then it won't get better. So,
and that's definitely, from my end, that's Leslie Uto, who is on top of all of that and does such a great job with all that she does to get the parents on the phone, gets them scheduled in, and then we meet. One last thing here, and I love this because my teams are just, and I showed this already, shared it at the managers meeting. This is our 7th grade team that match point. We had lost to Washington, was on the far side, so this was our chance back at them. And again, I know you come from a high school district, no longer, right? So
no, I can't pick side right now.
So this is match point. And here goes our young lady about to serve, pink ball, boom. And you can see Miss Anderson over there hops and storming of the court. So this was so cool because they were able to get back at the only loss that they've had all year. They were able to avenge the loss. So again, that's it.
Thanks, John.
Any more questions or comments?
I just really appreciated we're setting a format out there with the parent, Resource Center, sorry, I'm stuttering here. Resource Center, because I think we need to copy that format and get it to other sites as well. So I'm glad we're developing it and making sure our parents have a resource to deal with various issues, including with student issues, family issues, food issues, all these issues that our parents need to deal with, so we can make sure this son and daughter continues to come to our schools, and learn and grow. So thank you for that. And the other thing is, how's our AVID program going?
We are in our first year of re-implementation, as we had it several years back when we left, when we were one middle school, we had AVID, and then for a year before the region disbanded, we had AVID on the site. But again, we have approximately 100 students across 3 grade levels who are in an AVID language arts, and then they come back for an AVID elective. Ms. Burt is the coordinator. Ms. Jensen is doing a great job here at the district level, doing her thing as well. So we're learning. We have there was an AVID PLC today over at Gavilan View where the schools came together to collaborate. Tomorrow there's a walkthrough occurring with our regional representative, Erica. So we'll be doing some walkthroughs and looking at focus note taking and where we are. So it's alive and well, and we're getting better with each day.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
John, I just want to say, I detect a great deal of enthusiasm in you now, and I just want to say thank you and keep it up.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a great year out there, a great start to the year, and so yeah, more to come.
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much. Even, when I was there before school started with the student orientation, it was nothing but parents and kids so excited about school and just walking around, and the talk that you could hear was amazing. I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want to step on a campus to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, my niece is going there, and she's loving going there. So she was a little nervous, but she does love everything there.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great place to be. Thank you.
Good. All right, thank you so much. Okay. We're going on, Mr. Sandoval.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello,
It's you.
I
Yeah.
was just reading, thank you for listening.
We moved you out of the audience and look what happened.
The MOT department. The MOT department is dealing with the Department of Flu, which, I mean, as everybody knows, it's going around right now. So every licensed available body has been driving, so we've been challenged with that. So we have been tackling pretty good. Employees are dedicated. Sometimes they even come and say, I mean, it's like they're great. However, because they come in sick, sometimes it kind of works against us, unfortunately. Good news, we, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be test driving our new electric bus. And this is going to be electric bus number 2.
Yes.
The one good thing about this new electric bus, it has a bigger range. It has more seating capacity versus our first one, which kind of limits us on any distance or seating capacity. But we are using it as much as we can because it's actually taking care of all of the overages that we have at McKinnon for the afternoon run, which is route number 14. So hopefully by the next board meeting, I will be coming to you and saying, hey, we need to sign this contract. And it is a full grant, roughly about $475,000 for the bus, and they just approved us for the $65,000 infrastructure upgrade also. So we'll be, they're not only going to give us the bus, but somewhere to plug it in, because the plug-in that we have for the first one doesn't accommodate for 2 plugins. So we need another piece of equipment in order to charge it up. I know that at the last meeting I came in with some pretty bad news about some fire alarm panels, and somebody in the audience here has witnessed what we're going through with some of these fire alarm panels. But we have been coordinating with our engineering department and Tim, of course. We do have a good recommendation instead of, going out and replacing the whole complete system. There is a way to just upgrading the master panel. It's good and bad, solely because just upgrading the system is going to cost us roughly about $61,000. However, it still binds us to a proprietary system where, we're still having to call this contractor out just for a service call, which unfortunately it's been just for the service call about $1,000. So yeah, it does buy us some time. It comes in with a great 1-year warranty, but I mean, we won't have to really pay anything out of pocket for any miscommunications with the panel and the lab company. So we're hoping to get that going here pretty soon. And I know that I had bad news. I still have more bad news. So proprietary systems seem to plague us at 3 of the sites, the 3 newest sites. So the other problem that we're starting to run into is the lighting control systems for McKinnon. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen McKinnon in the dark. It stays dark pretty much all night. So it's called the watt stopper control panel. So we're looking at dealing with that next. And surprisingly, we did set aside, and you guys approved me for $450,000 for the upgrade of the fire alarm panel. Now that we're using the $61,000 from that, hopefully we can actually start covering the rest of the fixes that we need to do, like for the lighting control panels at the 3 sites. So I will be coming back with a recommendation or an alteration to the 5-year plan at the next meeting.
Thank you.
So the 61,000 is pretty much just a 1-year warranty as far as extending our time when we have to decide what to do there.
Correct. So the 61,000 on a good note is that it's bringing us up to the 2012, 2017 circa of code instead of the 2006. So we are getting upgraded a little bit, and hopefully, it will last another, say, 10 years. So we should be okay.
Thank you.
We talked about it last time. I think we have a good plan in place.
Thank you.
I do have a question. You have, this is in regard to buses, you have cameras inside the buses, right?
Yes, we do.
Do you have any, I'll tell you why. I was behind the electric bus the other day when somebody did not stop and blew past when the kids were getting off the bus. Do we have any way to record that at all?
Not on the outside.
Okay.
It's only on the inside for safety purposes. So,
Obviously, nobody was injured, but it was just, my heart stopped for a moment as everybody else, we're on North Main, everybody else stopped, and one person just decided to keep right on going when they were
it is a
kids off.
$1,400 fine too. So.
Yeah, it just, they got downstairs from everybody else who stopped, but it was really frightening, and nothing that anybody, the bus driver couldn't do anything, but it was just really scary.
But is that something you might want to look into because of liability issues? Because, if cars are already having cameras and they're using that in court and, this and that, maybe an external, looking on the left side,
Prosecution purposes, I don't know if.
No, not partially, but just provided to the police, have a record of what happened.
Yeah, we could do that. And we actually, really work very closely with our SROs. And so they've been really helpful. So they could possibly do something like that.
I have a question for Victor and John. Have you guys heard anything more about the traffic light that they're supposed to be putting out on Rogie? Is it Rogie?
So.
Well, there's the high school in front of the high school. That's operational in the sense that they are getting
I appreciate the laugh.
parents used to the light, right? It's a blinking red and has been for, I'd say, about 3 weeks now since they activated it, maybe longer actually, about a month.
That's after about 6 months of it just sitting there.
Yeah, and then, so that is for us. At the end of the day, I know La Jolla lets out at 2:40? 2:35. The high school lets out at about 3 o'clock, and then we let out at 3:10. So up to this point, our action-packed afternoon, that light does a little bit of help for us in that it almost serves like a metering light for an on-ramp, right, for a freeway, as it stops cars and then it kind of staggers them as they're stopping. So it does help a little bit. I don't know what effect it'll have once it goes operational, full operational. And next year when you have more high school drivers driving to Rancho and the year after that. So that'll be interesting because Rhodey's not getting any bigger, not any wider, unless they displace some homeowners or they take our marquee or curb area there, right, and expand it that way. So
I think the three-way stop,
yeah,
in
that I haven't
between us,
heard about.
La Jolla and BK has helped
Yes.
a lot.
Yes,
That has
yes.
been we can.
The stop sign.
Yeah, with a three-way.
Well, I know a lot of drivers complain about just masses of kids, both Bolsono's and the high school, all at once, you know, and they're just crossing the street and the cars can never go. Is there any thought to safety patrol?
Well, I'm out there they joke about this and saying I'm the highest paid crosswalk in the county of Monterey. Stan and I go out there every afternoon. We're there and we stagger release the kids. So we're stopping, we stop the students, allow the traffic to flow on Rogie, and then when they bunch up again, we cross them. But it's an effective way of getting the kids across the street and keeping the flow happening on Rogie. If we were not there, I can tell you that it would back up on Rogie all the way to San Juan on one side and then all the way to Natividad on the other side. But we're there, and for about 15 minutes roughly, there's a lot of traffic. But again, we get the kids across safely. And what it really comes down to are the vendors, the ice cream vendors that are there. They keep the kids congregated in an area, and the law enforcement comes around every so often and they do some enforcement out there, but it's only as good as they go out there and patrol. And but the vendors there, the kids will congregate. It's a magnet.
Well, I remember you did the same thing when you were here.
Mhm.
You would cross them and.
Mhm. So we still do that, and it does the job. But yeah.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Victor.
Moving on.
Charles?
Yes, sorry.
I know, it looks weird to me too.
Yes.
Anyway, just to piggyback on what Mr. Gutierrez was talking about with Hamilton, so we've been working with Bolsono's to arrange meals for them. They're gonna be gone for such a long time. It is gonna get a little tricky because technically we're only allowed to provide 2 meals a day, so we'll work that out with Bolsono's, but I don't see it being an issue. We should be able to get it done. This last Friday, we did a spaghetti dinner for the GD volleyball, the end of the season. It was about 250 people, the most that we've done in a catering as a department, with the exception of Thanksgiving, of course. And from what I have been told, it turned out nice with a few hiccups with timing and amount of food. The amount of food we had too much, which is a good problem to have. You never want to run out. And then lastly, we were able to hold interviews yesterday, and we filled a vacancy within the department. It was a 4-hour warehouse delivery driver position. We had some good candidates, some good interviews. We selected a gentleman that had been subbing for us, proven to be proficient at the job and learning every day and getting better. So we're looking forward to him starting. We're continuing, I guess, because he has been subbing. That's it.
Any questions?
I just did very good things about the food, so.
I perked up when you said Thanksgiving dinner.
Thank you.
Yum.
Just to follow up from last meeting in regards to the budget commission, job description that was approved. We have someone already in the job. We hire our accounts clerk, who is a step lower from the budget commission. We couldn't hire someone better. He has a bachelor's of science in business administration. He was already doing the job for the budget technician when the transition was happening. He volunteered. He's already doing most of the job. He knows the accounting system. He has great customer service. So I'm very, very happy with that. So right now we're working on the process to open that accounts clerk position, which is the lower position, and we are in the process of doing that. Just an update in regards to CalSTRS audit, we keep working on it. We are in contact now with CalSTRS, working directly. We send out all of our work and spreadsheets and everything, and they give us the okay for that. So the next step is to enter all those adjustments into the accounting system, and that has to be done with Monterey County Office of Education. So we have an appointment, a meeting this Friday to go over some of the training. This is a different part in the accounting system that nobody has access to it. So we need to get some training. That's the next step, and we have the meeting this Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. The next step will be to enter everything in the accounting system, and then MCOE will review all the work and send the final file to CalSTRS. So that's pretty much what we have.
I just want to say thank you. I think our issue with CalSTRS is really holding us back, and I'm glad we have somebody that's taking the initiative and working with the state and making sure, and the county, and making sure we get through this process as soon as possible, efficiently, but we need to get it done.
So Chuck mentioned the spaghetti dinner. That was for our elementary grades 4 or 5 volleyball tournament. That was their last matchup. It's been pretty amazing having elementary sports, and that all came out of our LCAP stakeholder engagement, which is pretty awesome. So each elementary school had a co-ed volleyball team, and they had their shirts as their uniform, and they came with each other. And then Friday they had their games, their celebration. We got their team pictures that Jake had done at one of the previous games. And so Jake Flores, I can't give him enough credit, but he really just sort of stepped into this elementary sports coordinator role, as well as his athletic directorship that he does for the middle school. Ended up coaching one of the volleyball teams himself, and then still arranging everything. So our next elementary sports will be, we'll have a girls and a boys basketball late in the fall and winter, and then we'll have track in the spring. So we will be sending out flyers for our Family Resource Fair tomorrow. We're working on getting those printed out, translated, and they're all set up and ready to go. So I'll get those out to our sites so that they can go home with our families and get them ready for November 2nd for our Family Resource Fair that we're going to have at Santa Rita Elementary. And Nicole Jensen sent out our PD menu. We have teacher PD on Monday, and she did so much work putting that together. I get like 1% of the credit for this. And she had 71 teachers sign up in the first 10 minutes that the system was open. So she opened it at 3:30 on Monday, and first 10 minutes, 71 people. So they must have just been waiting, because she did send out a notice saying it will come out at 3:30. And so people stopped what they were doing to say it's 3:30. I'm gonna give you time to. Someone was doing a PD, I think. And she let her group that she was delivering the PD to, she said, oh, it's 3:30, so I'm gonna let you, we'll stop here, take a break so you can sign up. So we've got lots of good stuff. We're doing our Tai Chi and yoga. We've got a couple of our teachers doing mindfulness. We have Ginger Kelly and Brenda Burr are gonna do the Desmos calculator. We have Holly Ann Isaac is going to do some how to integrate art in classrooms. So lots of our teachers stepped up when Nicole put out the call for to offer sessions for their colleagues, and it's been pretty amazing. So we hope to kind of keep that momentum going. We have some teachers who are opting to do some PD sessions after school now for us as part of our menu, so that's getting really exciting. And pretty positive for us that people are getting ready to share their expertise in their different areas, so. And then our next big thing is that we'll schedule interviews next week for our early childhood coordinator position. We have some good applicants, so I'll put together an interview team and hopefully we will find the right candidate for Little Bear Creek Preschool.
I'm loving the artwork. It's nice.
Any questions?
For the November 2nd, is this still open to more groups having booths?
Definitely, absolutely. So I just received another form back today, so.
And then do you have any volunteers that day at all?
Actually, a lot of our volunteers are coming from Bolsonals and Gavilan View leadership and former Bolsonals and Gavilan View students.
Nice.
So we'll have volunteer t-shirts for those that are volunteering. And then I know both middle schools are gonna have a couple of booths where their ASB students can get involved and do some things and maybe do a little bit of fundraising and helping. We've got Julie Johnson arranging Jane for a bounce house for us, and John's trying to get us a DJ.
We have a DJ.
So it's kind of a group effort.
It's not me, but we have a DJ.
Chuck's gonna have the food taken care of for us, and so it should be a pretty fun and I was about to say eventful event, I guess. So it should be a pretty fun festival for our families. And
Do you need more volunteers or?
I'm always open for volunteers.
So should they just reach out to you or just show up that day or?
Reach out to me, and so I'll catch up with you, give you some contact information, if you have somebody you want to share.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just have 2 comments.
Okay.
Questions or comments?
Just
The amount of parents that were so happy to have elementary level sports, you know, it just went off the hook. Major kudos. The other thing is the PD. I mean, whenever you have so many teachers fighting and watching the clock to sign up, you know, then they get disappointed they didn't get in.
They
You know, as
do.
a teacher, I can totally understand that, so you must be doing something good out there. And I really like the holistic nature of the offerings, because I think a lot of times we get caught up in the academics, you know, and in reality, you know, we need to be feeding all of the needs of the students, you know, not just the academic needs, the social needs, interaction, art, music, sports, you know. So I want to thank the staff for really thinking outside the, I don't know, couldn't say a word of box, but thank you for looking at all aspects of our students, not just one specific area of the students. And we are a community district, we are a community school, so.
So we're gonna go to 5.3, reports of the board on activities or meetings attended. So, Mr. Jenkins.
Jason. Nothing to report this day.
Mr. Benton.
No, I'm just very pleased with our district. We have a new person now to help our HR, you know, we have a great facilities. I mean, you know, assistant superintendent, we have great principals. I mean, I'm finally feeling like we have a great team. You know, it's like, I feel like we're the Avengers, you know? We're assembling, you know? But I'm feeling really strong.
You know what's gonna happen for Halloween now.
I know. No, but I'm gonna say welcome. You know, I think, I love the high school district, I work there, but there's something about seeing these children out here and learning, and you go to a show, you go to a presentation, you go to one of the games, and so I encourage you to please get out there, meet the staff, see our students, and fall in love with this great district, just like we all do. Welcome.
Ms. Kaiser?
I have nothing other than welcome to Becky, and that's about it.
I say welcome as well, and thank you to everybody. The last board meeting, I was ill, and thank you guys for continuing on without me so well. And then just to the board members, these were came from Monterey County Office of Ed of opportunities for professional development for board members. So I just wanted you guys to to have them, and I appreciate that they're doing that. I feel like since the new superintendent took over, that she's really trying to hit a bunch of different aspects of professional development, including board members. So I'm appreciative of that. Going on to the superintendent.
Not much really. I want to just go ahead and join Kate in saying how much this year's just been. I don't know if there's any other superintendents saying this, but negotiations are so fun. We're just having a good time because we're working together, shoulder to shoulder, on issues, and really this insurance thing that's coming up, we're working through that together. We have a meeting on the 25th that we're going to have the SRTA's committee and their officers and the CSEA. That's really been exciting to watch those two groups come together and start to collaborate. It's just amazing to watch, and it's just organic. It's nothing, it's just happened. It's just because the two units are so into, just being together and collaborating with each other and with us. And it's just been an amazing experience for me. I've never experienced it before. So thank you to the both units. Site visits, I can't wait for my next one. I mean, it's getting to the point where I thought I was going to have problems getting out to all the classrooms once a month, but I don't think it's going to be a problem at all because I'm ready to go back out. So I spent some time at 3 elementary schools last week, 2 weeks ago. So I made all my September visits. I've already started my October visits, and we'll wrap those up the week after next. And had a staff meeting yesterday at La Jolla. One of my site visits at La Jolla, just seeing tremendous, and at the staff meeting, listening to the staff members support each other and talk about how they were going to get into each other's classrooms and help each other's. It's phenomenal to hear. I sent out an email a couple of weeks ago because I just couldn't keep it in anymore. But I mean, to walk across the campus and hear teachers say, hey, I'll go take care of your kids, go get your cup of coffee. Or, oh, don't worry about that, I'll cover it till you get back. And literally just walking across the campus, and every 10 feet I'm hearing something like that. And at all sites, but at La Jolla was where I was at that one. And then just went to McKinnon's PLC today and walked through and just visited with the sites. The grade level teams as they were collaborating and just watching what they're doing and how they're working together. And they're so excited about what they're doing. That's what's fun, is watching them, and they're just excited to share it with me when I walk through. So it's hard to explain, it's hard to describe, because it's nothing like I've ever experienced before. So just keep it up and appreciate the principals. The principals, when we talked about this year, our theme this year and our vision was Santa Rita, where we all learn and grow. And I gotta tell you, I'm seeing such tremendous growth in our principals this year as well. Just taking ownership of their sites and really settling in. And John and I have had several great conversations about leadership at Bolsonaro and Analia at La Jolla. It's so much fun watching everybody just come into their own and become leaders in the classroom or on the playground. I mean, I'm even watching students starting to lead in the classrooms. It's really cool. Now to get to the business side of this thing, I'm supposed to have a meeting with the developers on the 16th on the West Area Specific Plan. I'm going to drive down to San Luis Obispo to meet them. That's halfway between there, and so I'll let everybody know if that actually takes place. Then we're going to work. I got to call into Nant Energy. We're going to schedule some power overs, with the grid. We're going to start doing some mock-ups of power outages, so we can start training our people, because there's a certain step that has to go through, a few steps to go through to go from offline onto the battery grid. And so we're working on to schedule that. We're still working with them on some PG&E stuff we're trying to get done. And really just, other than that, working with Victor on some of the issues with the sewer at GB, and it seems like we're progressing and getting somewhere on that as well. And the science garden finally is ready to go. We just have to, we're gonna finish the staining and get that ready so we can do our dedication to Mr. Spencer, who's having some issues with his health, and we want to get that done and have him back down here soon. So other than that, everything's just, it's flying. And now to get Miss Moore on today, I know we got our kindergarten teacher that's coming on at Hoya. So it's it's a good time. And so I'm going to stop talking now, or I'm just going to keep rambling on.
Any questions or comments from the
Come out. Two, one is, I'm very pleased with the relationship you're building with our 2 units. I think, good to hear over the years that we don't have the animosity there. I think this partnership and understanding we are working together, we're getting paid out of the same pocket, if you will, and we want to make sure everyone's taken care of, And the other issue was our solar panels, and other counties are shutting down, as we all know, because of PG&E. I just want to make sure in the future that we're up and ready to go. So whatever we can do to elevate, making sure that we can get that up and running as soon as possible.
It's gonna, I emailed Victor, I told him they want to come in on Saturday so we can shut down the power and then simulate the process of powering up.
Yeah.
So I just told him, just let's sit down, we'll get with Rosa, we'll get an overtime budget, and we're gonna get it done. So, yeah.
This is in regards to meeting with the developer. Can you reach out to our finance people and find out the effect? The governor on Monday signed for the bonds to go onto the ballot in March, and just what position that sets us in. Obviously if it doesn't pass, things don't change, but just information in case.
I'm sorry, I
goes
didn't
through.
touch on that, but I did.
Should have that list.
Well,
yeah, no, I did. In fact, I emailed Owen Alvarez at Schoolworks, and we've got a phone conference the next week. And then he said something about our bonding capacity was too low. So I got a hold of Simon Gutman and at Barclays and Miguel Hernandez at PFM. And so they said, no, we've got your bond study and you're at 73%. So you're well over the 60%. So they're going to send that, and then we'll get that information from Owen. We just filled out some modernization funds and signed them in for both Bolsono's and La Jolla. So they're in line for the funding if AB 48 is adopted, passed. So yes, I'm working on it. I'm sorry I didn't bring that up. I was excited.
It was extremely exciting.
Yeah.
And then my only other thought was reaching out to MCOE and seeing, if we can pass a resolution in favor of it, if they can pass a resolution in favor of it at district level, just starting to basically use our, to let parents and our constituents know that this is coming, because it's going to be a special election, which I think would be helpful in terms of you get the people that are in favor of it to turn out for it.
This would be an interesting partnership. You could have the education, couple of the builders, couple of
Yeah, it could be somewhere where we actually can agree and help each other. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So, and as far as one more thing. At the last meeting, Mr. Patel asked if we could see about getting someone to do some type of commercial or video presentation of our district, and we have been in contact. Lozano's office put me in contact with a gentleman in Southern California. He's waiting to see how this next Wednesday works out, to see if there's any, because he sees it. One is the positive campaign message that you were asking for, and then the other one is basically, he said, you're talking about a political campaign about this development. You're opposed to the development as it's constituted now. You're not against growth, you're just against irresponsible growth. And so I said yes, and so he's waiting until after next Wednesday, and we're gonna follow up with him and move forward with those things. And then Melissa is going to share just a little promotional video we did for Summer Academy, just to show you what we did at a local level when she gets ready to do her report. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any last questions or comments? So this is 5.5, receive hearings of individuals designed to address the board on items not on the agenda. Any public comment?
Well, once again, Madam President, I think we need to form a line and maybe have some time restraints. Seems to be going endlessly.
It is a raucous crowd.
I'm like, you're the only one that.
Go ahead.
Latoya thanks you for our kindergarten teacher. What's that song called? Thank you for taking.
No.
Sorry. Thank you for, thanks to the board for, taking the time and accepting that they would search for a new kindergarten teacher for our site. No, it's gonna be hard to transition, but we're happy to have a new member of staff.
Really good transition in place.
Good, yeah.
Very good plan to help.
I don't doubt it. That site is just, as far as the way they wrap around and help each other, it's really cool.
It was my first question when I walked in tonight to town. I was like, you got somebody, we're just waiting on the clearance. I'm like, okay.
And the teachers are very excited
Yes.
for this partner too, so that's even a better sign. And we're getting colorful, so if you come by our campus,
Yeah.
our walkathon money is color pride. Making our campus very colorful.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. For those of you who were not here, before we went into closed session, we dropped 7.1, which is the new school nurse job description, because we were able to find the current one to use. So we do not need to adopt a new one. And that's it. So moving on to 7.2, ratify tentative agreement between SRTA and SRUSD resolving error on teacher salary table.
We found this through our interim HR director. We had a teacher come in to move over a column, and we found an omission when we transcribed it 3 years ago, and it just never got put back on. Column D is supposed to reflect a BA plus 45 or master's, and somewhere along the line, the or master's was dropped. So we just simply add that back in. But we brought in Jill Lutz and Kate Stover, and we worked together and showed them the different salary schedules and when it got dropped, and there was never any reason for it other than just an error. And we did a side letter, and that's what we're asking for you to, and we both signed it, and we're just asking you to ratify that. So.
Any questions or comments? Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 7.2.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to second, I'm sorry. So just to clarify, Ms. Kaiser seconded, and all those in favor? Aye. Apologize for that. Okay. Moving on, 10.1, this is an informational item to discuss the installation of lockers on middle school campuses.
This was also something that was brought up at the last meeting, asked to be placed on for a discussion. I went around and visited both middle schools and went to the GV and actually went around lifting up backpacks in the classrooms. And there's some pretty heavy backpacks, so there's a legitimate concern for students, that are back problems and carrying those things and heavy. And the issue of remedies came up as a potential remedy. We talked about what about lockers and bringing lockers back, because they were taken out about 4 years ago. So well, I know I talked to both middle school principals and try to get their perspective on it to see, okay, we have a problem. There is a problem. The backpacks are heavy. So then we talked about what is the best thing we can do to help with that. So if you want to, just kind of give your perspective on your campus and if you see the same thing.
Sure. Well, Bolsa was built without lockers, and the reason that we went in that direction was we were able to pick up instructional minutes by shortening passing periods. We also at that point had gone the route of a duplicate set of books, one that would stay at home, one for classroom use, that would minimize or almost eliminate the need for carrying heavy books in backpacks. Then we introduced the Chromebooks, where the textbooks are available electronically. So to me, it was perplexing. Why are these backpacks as heavy as they are? So I too have gone around and surveyed kids. You can see the bulkiness of the backpack, why. So with permission of the students, what do you have in there? And lo and behold, I was finding things that are not school related. And I'm not talking about any contraband or anything like that, but I had a student who was carrying around, for example, his transportation home, which was a mini skateboard, one of those foldable little scooters, I guess, right, that fold up in 3 pieces, which adds a few pounds to the backpack. Today, I found another student who's actually, again, for purposes of getting himself home, he was carrying a pair of rollerblades and adding weight to those backpacks. But when you look at what's actually in there school related that's making those backpacks heavy, they're not school items, they're not textbooks, they're not anything along those lines. And there may be an exception or two out there, but generally speaking, they're not items that are school related in the sense of textbooks or anything along those lines. But now what we've done is, in our staff meetings, is making sure that the staff is aware of the accessing of their books electronically. So if they're not doing so for whatever reason, there's been that educational component that's gone along with, you don't need to send books home with kids because you can access those books via the Chromebook. So again, through education, you don't need to be bringing this to school. Your portable gaming system or whatever else is in those backpacks don't need to be here at all. I look at lockers as like a double-edged sword. They're great for putting things in. If in fact they are school items, they're great for storage. And at the same time, it also then we would have to look at our instructional minutes or passing periods, things along those lines would have to be revisited on how we do things like that. And then ultimately, I guess I would ask, having surveyed myself, the kids, would they be storing school items, or are they storing items that can be left at home to begin with? The scooter, the portable skateboard, whatever else is going in there. So that's kind of what I have seen from looking at and the bulky backpacks.
So John, are you following up with your staff on that and making sure that we're not adding to this issue?
Correct.
So through some educational efforts with the staff, and then also following up with the students and maybe some of the parents as well. Because when I went to GD, what I saw was the students would not even put them on the floor. They put them behind the chair and then they lean against them. So I don't know, I'm not even sure they would use a locker. Some probably would, but a lot of these kids are like, they carry them around with them. They don't let them out of their sight just because of they're afraid of.
I agree. I've seen a lot of that myself, and I've seen the students, that same thing where they do keep them on their backs, but in the classroom, we have cubbies. So again, those little cubicles where it's easy enough to where we insist that the students put those into the cubbies, and they're assigned a cubby by their number, and then those go in there. But we still have students that, again, that want to keep those on their backs. And yeah, I mean, again, but they shouldn't weigh what the bulk of those backpacks indicate, because they're not textbooks. They're not anything other than a binder. And in the binders, there's the pouch, there's the student planner. They may have, if it's a run day at PE, they may have a pair of running shoes in there, but nothing that would warrant those backpacks weighing 20 or perhaps 30 pounds. All of that, what I've seen, are things that don't need to be at school or not school related.
I wonder if we can't do some kind of home survey or some kind of an awareness campaign.
The question I have, especially with the PE, I would, for hygiene reasons, they should be bringing a separate pair of clothes, and their shoes, socks, if you will, maybe a towel. Wouldn't it be advantageous for them to have a locker to store those things and, maybe alleviate some of the weight? And the other thing is when you say that all the textbooks are on the Chromebooks, is that true? I mean, all the textbooks, or how about English, AR? I'm just kind of wondering how many of the students are actually utilizing this. I think a survey, I think help answer these questions.
Sure.
I think engaging the parents in a dialogue about this. How do they know what their kids are packing around? Because they're the ones that have to pay for the chiropractor appointments, right? And then a matter of revisiting that with our staffs. I think it's never all one solution, right? It's not all one. And the PE thing is, we're going to keep working on that to try to find a solution. I was concerned about health a significant health issue when we brought this up. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, as long as, if it's true that all of the textbooks are 90% are available on their Chromebooks, then I can understand the argument. I totally do, and I accept that.
Well, I know that, I'll let Mrs. Alden address that.
All of our adopted curriculum. In fact, we stopped several years back buying a second set of textbooks. We have a little bit of overage for students who are out for a while who need to, they take them home and check them out for a temporary amount of time. But all of our textbooks are accessed via the Chromebook. And that was part of the intent, the rationale of moving to the Chromebook. And so each of adoption, we've done an adoption for a core area for across the last 4 years, have the online access to the textbooks. And so students actually, we don't buy enough for students to be carrying one back and forth unless it's like a limited thing or a student has repeat damage to Chromebook to the extent that they now need to be checked out textbooks and they can only use their
But
Chromebook.
if that's the case, they keep one at home and they have a classroom.
Yeah,
Those
they
are
take
checked
the-
out
they
to the
take
students at that point. If we have a situation of a parent not having access to the internet, that might be another reason why they would have a textbook assigned to them. But it's not to transport every day back and forth. Now, a student may be doing so. So then again, I think that is where the educational component comes in. Always special circumstances. You could have a situation where, again, as Melissa stated, is that if you have a student who's repeatedly damaged the Chromebook and the parent no longer wants them to have a Chromebook, then we make arrangement to have a duplicate set of books that remain at home. So there are exceptions, but
they're not taking, they haven't said it.
correct. They should not be coming back and forth. Now, correct. If a student chooses to do so, then there's something else going on that we may not be aware of. It could be a home situation where maybe, it's a multifamily type of a setting where they don't feel comfortable leaving it at home, so they're bringing it back and forth. Those are issues that I'm sure are occurring or could be occurring, but that is, I think, the exception, definitely.
I'm gonna schedule some visits at both the middle schools, and the two of us can go around and just kind of survey the kids in general and find out if there's anything we can do to kind of reemphasize this. And I think we can come up with some type of home survey or something where we can poll the parents as to what are some solutions they would, how many of them are experiencing this where their students are actually having health issues or something. So we could work with Nicole and come up with some type of home survey where we can get some information.
I would prefer if we did some education before we did the survey.
Well, we would
Just-
roll it out in phases, yeah.
I was verbally accosted by a Gamble View parent last year over the weight of her child's backpack, and happily the child was there, that I knew the child, and I said, do me a favor, sweetie, open up your backpack, where she did have all of her textbooks in there, and I said, you know that you can get all of those on your Chromebook. And the kid said, I know, I just like bringing them back and forth. And the mom's face totally changed. And I said, this is a choice that she's making, that she doesn't have to bring any of these things, back and forth, because this is somebody who had a Chromebook. So just, I feel like if we ask the parents about the weight of the backpacks without like first making it crystal clear to them that all the stuff is available on their Chromebooks that will be, oh yeah, it's a big problem, knowing that sometimes it's a child-generated problem.
Well, we can start with,
Send him some informational item
yeah,
about,
here's what,
check your backpack, check your child's backpack.
well, we can, first of all, let them all know that they have access to those
Yeah.
books, the Chromebooks, and then I just schedule some time with you guys, and let's just, kind of just do some spot checks and just see if we can't start talking to them, and then roll the information out to the homes, and then eventually, some kind of interactive kind of dialogue with the parents. But I think we do them in that stage. We'd start with the students, do the things, keep working with your staff, make sure you don't have a staff member somewhere that's like, no, I'm gonna have them take books, and then move through this kind of methodically, just to do what we can to help support them.
And the biggest thing that's brought up to me is more just the changing of the clothes.
Yeah, that's that one we got to keep. Yeah, we're gonna. And in fact, I know Victor. We talked about that as far as when we get our modernization money or something along those lines. Is there a way we can do some kind of modular room that can be used? To facilitate some type of. I mean, I know that they're doing it now. There's some classrooms that are using it to change their clothes. And
the modular industry has gone beyond what the capabilities were, 20, 30 years ago. A moment frame building can be modified to anything. You can have a double wide, not double wide, but a double room connected in the middle where you have a spacious, an open space in the middle without any walls, any obstructions, and having the perimeter in somewhat of a locker setting. But yeah, you can modify those in many ways. So basically, the moving frame actually acts like an outer shell with no structural beams on the inside. So.
I think, Victor, why don't you do some research on that and then come back and do a presentation on some of those options?
Capacity-wise, how many students are we looking at being?
John, what's a?
Because GSA kind of says, hey, you can only fit so many here.
Yeah, the largest PE classes are probably any given period about 120.
So that's like female, male.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I would say it's fairly evenly split because that's how the classes are loaded.
And that's at one time, right?
But they have, it's co-ed PE, right? Okay. So
we split them by grade levels, where no one teacher, you may have, if all three are out there, they each have a grade level, but if there are only two, then you do a little overlap, 6 and 7 and 7 and 8, but that's how we generally.
Yeah, I think I just don't see how we can, I mean, we're doing it. I know they're doing it over here at GV where they're using a classroom and people are, leaving their backpacks, someplace.
That's what they generally, or they put them up on the, along the fence or something like that.
Yeah,
but,
they're there,
yeah.
right there where they're out doing it.
So just part of the design criteria, and this just kind of tells me how many doors do I put in there, or what kind of building I'm looking at is, what kind of timeline do they have in order to get dressed? Is it 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Well, that's to be determined, because right now what they're doing is they report out to their numbers, or they report to the classroom, they drop their stuff, and then they head out to the numbers. So I don't know, it's been too long since I was in middle school and dressed out, so I'm thinking no less than 5 minutes on either side, right, to dress up and then to get changed back.
So I just want to know how many kids are going to be trying to squeeze through that door.
Oh, yeah, 60 males
Yeah.
and 60 females at any given time. Sure.
All right, thank you.
More doors.
Yeah.
It just gives me a parameter of what to look for.
A roll-up door.
Yeah. Well, right now what they do on a run day is they come dressed on a run day because it's pretty consistent. So if Friday or Thursday is the mile day, the assessment day, then quite a number of the kids already come dressed accordingly. As opposed to them, some will change in the bathrooms just before the PE period, but for the most part, on an assessment day, they'll come already dressed and ready to go.
Shorts or
See, I thought that's what we were talking about, is lockers for PE because we were concerned that after PE, they smell like little wet puppies.
Well, I've had teenagers.
Well, yeah.
They smell like that all the time.
I think that was one thing, but the other thing was the weight of your backpacks, but they're saying
But
that some
the
students are.
Backpack issue, I'm not really understanding why the kids are carrying so much, that's just me. And if they're gonna carry that much, why don't they have a rolling backpack?
And more
And
students do
is that
use
the
those.
solution? Do we need to provide rolling backpacks?
No, he
I
said
mean,
that there's
I'm
some-
just thinking out of the box
Yeah,
and that costs money, but.
You have students that do use them, and I don't know if it's because they're not cool to roll. You know, I don't know. I love them myself. I can roll my bag. I'll roll my
Great.
bag.
Is that really a
It's like
promotion?
being
Is that a
here.
stamp of approval?
Yeah.
Mr. Gutierrez loves it.
Yeah, I'll do an infomercial.
Okay.
I'll infomercial that.
Okay, yeah, I'll be with you. We'll set a trend, John. You
Yeah, we can be on every monitor on every classroom in the middle schools,
Stickers
man.
for the handles, just.
What do you think, Mr. Ron? What do you think? Thumbs up, you know, or.
So, sorry guys, I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
Without laughing.
Is that
Am
like
I
a modeling gig?
Yeah, just, this is an informational item, if after we have the information, we could just report back on
We will keep the dialogue
next
rolling.
steps. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
this
so I'm
is the good stuff.
going on to 10.2, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services will present information regarding district media advertisements.
So this video was done with a local, visited a few days while we were doing Summer Academy. We just wanted to kind of put together a promotional video about what we did and that we could share out when it gets to be Summer Academy time again. And by the way, I've already had a parent ask me for the dates. Should we plan our summer vacation around it?
Nice.
I'm like, I guess we'll plan that really early this year. So just wanted, and that can kind of give us a talking point to start about what kind of thing we want to do for like our positive promotion versus our other that we might need to do for the development.
It's only playing audio from here.
How come?
It's not on the.
Where's
I tried to get it earlier to play.
I want to go to school, and I'm always excited when I wake up in the morning. But now they're like, I'm here, you know, when they bust in the door. Yeah, oh yeah. Everybody's so enthusiastic, and it just feels so refreshing to come here and see these wonderful classes and opportunities. We were able to develop their language arts skills for the summer in a more fun and enjoyable way than just reading. They got to read and feel the characters. We did a lot of fun games with that. I like summer school like this better because you're gonna have fun.
My first and second graders, we learned all about the kelp forest. One of the most exciting things we did was I brought kelp that I collected from the aquarium, and I brought it into the classroom in buckets. But it was fun watching the kids explore and touch things that they probably had never touched before.
There are many things which we tried at the school in the summer academy, which I would not have dared try in my regular classroom, like having 24 children working with watercolor. But it gave me a practice session.
I enjoyed the opportunity to kind of experiment with new teaching styles. I liked how the classes got to be shorter or longer depending on what we wanted, and I feel that was good for the kids to be able to rotate.
It's a really good experience. The kids are really liking it. They're socializing and they're still using, you know, their handwriting techniques and everything. So it kind of helps them over the summer just remember what they're supposed to be doing.
I think that I like summer school a little better because you get to choose what you learn. I took wild things and get your make your space on.
gaming and board games and puzzles. Friendship bracelets, and then art and culture. Friendship bracelets, watercolor, sis pieces. Mindfulness and yoga. Chef's kitchen and art culture.
They are really into it, and I told them I learned this in college, so they're learning college material that's more at their level, which is really cool because they're so proud of themselves and they remember.
I learned how to keep my body healthy and how to make stuff, to be creative, and how to read music notes, and how to handle animals. I'm learning about animals.
And then for the cooking, we did chopping. It was the children experience to touch a warm potato or to smell the onions. And to follow a recipe.
From the arts and crafts perspective, I would say that they, they're getting their fine motor skills with the cutting, and then with also, the gluing and all of that, but also the social aspect of it, because we do have a lot of shy kids, to really get them socializing with other older kids. So I think overall it's really beneficial for the kids.
She came home more positive about school, and she's always been positive, but even more so. She's learned quite a bit, she's grown, she's just more confident in herself. It's been really lovely to watch her growth.
It was really informative to me and gave me a lot of new ideas on how to implement it with my first graders next year.
I would like to implement it in my regular classroom, mostly in science, and being around tools, layering, and figuring out, doing hands-on, working in groups.
It's benefited me in a huge way because I teach special education, so it's shown me how important mainstreaming is and how I really want to incorporate my students into mainstreaming in general education classrooms. And I think for yoga, the benefits of that is, they can go home and do those stretches, or, we're using a lot of videos off of YouTube, so you can, look those videos up either on a cell phone or, a tablet or whatever you have at home that's handy that you can search online. You can do those stretches at home. So they can take that, they can, we can give it to them, that tool, and then they can take it home and even do it with their family. Get family time.
She comes home, she has to go through the entire day, every class, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. She loves it.
I really do feel like it's a huge benefit, not only for, for the families, but also for the kids, to be able to have those different activities. Because when do you get to do yoga in a classroom or arts and crafts all throughout the week, So I think that, for the parents, it's important to, if they can, sign them up and get them going, because Summer Academy is a lot of fun.
It gives the kids in our district an opportunity to have experiences that they normally probably wouldn't have.
This experience has been wonderful.
Sorry about our technology. Normally the sound and everything lines up a little bit better with but.
That's really what kicked off this whole year. The year actually got kicked off last June because when Melissa came to me, she goes, I want to.
I said I'd like to blow up summer school.
That's what she said. I want to blow up summer school. I said, okay, well, keep it metaphorical and help yourself out.
He said, you're gonna leave that? I went, yes.
That's true, I did. Rosa would be proud of me, that's the first thing I asked. Now you're gonna pay for this? She goes, I do. Okay, let's do it. And I said, let's target and have teachers do stuff that will invigorate them. And we had 44.
Oh gosh, between teachers and classified, we had about 46 employees. We had over 400 students. It's probably one of the most amazing things that's happened in my career. And frankly, all the content came from me just asking teachers to give me their best ideas. So those ideas and what classes were created were the teachers. So that's pretty amazing. But what our goal was to create sort of a positive promotion. We wanted to make sure that it had the Spanish translation with it. So our videographer worked with us for that so that each thing's translated. Just so that when it's time to start advertising it again, people, we can sort of send out this message. We already did last year have people from other districts trying to come just for summer. We were like, not how that's gonna work, but for our own families to just sort of grow in confidence about what we're offering and what it looks like and the kind of outcomes that students can have. So we wanted to do sort of a positive promotion video for what we were doing. And thought it might be a good place to start our chat about how we're looking at promoting our district and what ideas you guys have that you want to see.
I'm so glad it's influenced the regular school year this year. If I was a teacher, I'd like to have that freedom to be able to do what I'm good at doing. And I believe that keeps the enthusiasm and the interest going.
I had teachers surprise me with what they were good at doing and how good they were at doing it. I mean, we had teachers who taught cake decorating and amazing. And I'm like, you have a secret skill set. That's amazing. And so that was great.
The cooking classes, and Danny she taught, and I never give her.
Kate did as well.
Kate did too, and Kate did it like an electronics thing or something. Yeah, and, but what was fun was the cooking was all like measurements and ratios, and there was educate. You can't see it, but when you walk through the classes, you could see the kids were doing things that were educational. It's just that they were doing things that were applicable to everyday life. Cooking a meal or making a cake or something like that is something that we just do. Yeah, and then doing all the stuff in the robotics lab, and they had fencing for the 4th and 5th graders too, so they could. And Jacob did a great fitness. And I know some of the teachers signed their kids up for the. Brenda Burrett signed her son up for the fitness. Yeah. So, but Danny, can you speak to just like how, and Kate, you too, like when I say I think this is really what started this year, that was it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like for me, it gave me a chance as a newer teacher to work with kids of other ages and kind of experiment with them. And it was making things fun, something I enjoy reading and getting these kids to learn how to read with expression. It's not sitting and monotoning what you are reading, but no, learning how to, exclamation point, well, let's get crazy! And having fun with that and doing theater. I'm doing theater, which is language development, but we did Jungle Book and okay, you're a snake. How would you speak if you were a snake?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely gave things I wanted to try, and I think a lot of us wanted to try in the classroom, but we always felt confined by our instructional minutes. And now we learned how to roll it out in our classroom, how to do that stuff in our instructional minutes within that time. And it also, like Melissa was saying, let us see each other and what we can do. And we watched each other do amazing things. And so, you did that. Maybe I can pull that off in my classroom. And now we are, and so we are trying to go watch each other do that too. And we want to we've been offered to go even cross-site within our district to go visit each other's, do amazing things like that too. So it opened us up, the teachers up to, okay, we can do more. We can step outside this curriculum box and teach our standards in a different way though, how the kids need it. And because we do have a different population of kids than we've had like in the past 8 years, the kids have changed. So we're learning how to teach them the way that they need it.
Well, and Kate's gonna do, and Jill,
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
makerspace
another
class in our PD on Monday.
So we're
For
teaching
an
the teachers how
hour,
to do
so.
makerspace in their room. To let go, it's really to let them, to show the teachers it's okay to let go and let them do.
Any other questions or comments?
But in terms of ideas about how you might want us to go about setting up a promotional sort of thing for the district.
I like the direct videos, engagement of students doing the various activities, whether it was robotics, engineering, cooking, whatever it may be. I like the perspective of the teachers. I would love to see, I mean, this is just future, I'd love to see perspectives of parents. I think parents have a great voice, you know? I like the idea of we're teaching not necessarily curriculum, but it's an additional layer of the whole child, if you will. You know, we do a lot of standard-based education, but I think we're missing something from the original intent of education, which was that intrinsic nature of planting seeds. You know, we're gonna explore a bunch of things, you know, and they are free-form in this sense. And that's where the seed gets planted and that's where it grows. You might have a chef coming out of there. You might have an engineer coming out of there. You might have an artist coming out doing computer design later in the future. So I like that ability of planting those seeds. But the idea of getting the parents, students, teachers, I thought I would like to have seen maybe more of the facilities, you know, outside point of view, and maybe, you know, like a school bus, you know, some other assets, you know, the solar, maybe incorporate environmental, let's do a project with a solar panel or, you know, something like that. But overall, I loved what I saw. I really did.
So something like that kind of montage structure, but add in more of these pieces, because it's more like our district as a whole promotion, right? So,
And I really enjoyed this, and I did go to summer academy and talk to the kids and talk to the parents and had a fabulous time. I got to see animals. I would say in regards to this, if I'm coming in from the outside, it's not super clear what you're talking about. Like, I think it needs more framing in terms of like, this is Santa Rita's, you know, summer academy, what lasted for you know, people were allowed to sign up. Like, these are the kind of classes, because you got glimpses of it, but like me coming in from the outside, I would not, it wasn't completely clear to me that this was summer school outside of regular school, and I would sort of take away from it like, oh, are they doing a lot of fun stuff? Like, what, you know, a little bit more what is it kind of thing. And I did kind of to mix two things. I love calling it makerspace. Thank you, because that's something that, like you was talking about, that they can go online and like type in makerspace and, oh, hey, I'm attached to a larger community of all kinds of different people and makerspace conferences that I could, you know, go to, you know, that kind of thing. But just in terms of the video, you know, I would say if you have the opportunity to get somebody who has, just bring somebody in who doesn't know what you're talking about to look at it, and then like, what are your questions?
I absolutely agree with what you said.
Well, and this kid was he's just an amateur. That just,
Yeah. Oh, no, it's
the
really
person
fun.
we're talking to now, they do these things for professional promotions.
are there other avenues besides video that you're interested in? I know in the past we've done a mailer a couple of years back with some district info.
I would say all media. I would say Instagram, Twitter, you know, commercials. We internet advertisements, Comcast.
Yeah, I definitely, I would like again to do a mailer just to, you know, the residents of our district, but just really, there's a lot of ways that Santa Rita is unique in terms of things that we're providing to our children that other people aren't, in terms of like the paid field trips, like the fair that we're doing, like the summer cat, you know, things that I think people in the larger area have no idea that this is, you know, all the amazing things that are happening in this area.
You got a lot of
And then, yes, videos beyond the mailer, I'm gonna have to think about it in terms of what else is,
I think step one should be the, but I think the video component.
We'll be in touch with him late next week.
Yeah.
And get started.
Something positive that promotes like all of our sites
Right.
where we have just some snippets of what's going on so that people
Well, and bigger,
understand
right?
what.
Summer school is just one.
Right, it's
It's
just
one
facet,
thing,
right?
right? It's not the end all and be all. And then I think you're right. I think it's a matter of building on it, like building out, the summer school, microgrid, the parent resource,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Parent fair. There's just
Electric
hitting
buses.
electric buses, hitting all of those things in a way, but having someone message it so it sticks. Like
Yeah.
that's where we need our help is
And-
we need somebody to come in and show us how to put that together, message it, so it really speaks to the people that don't go here, right?
and the resources that we're providing to the community, like housing softball, housing girls inc, housing RIF, to be able to say like,
Community partners.
that this is, we consider ourselves a community resource for, and we want to provide things to other people and we're open to that. You are, well, I mean, I will say, at a call from, Councilmember McShane a while back, just in regards to the development. And, I said that people in Santa Rita view themselves as a family and they have expectations both ways, that we're gonna take care of their children, but also that we're gonna be a resource to them. And I think it has a different feel than other areas of Salinas where people live there, but they don't necessarily feel like they have ownership of what's happening in their area. And people here have high expectations of the school district because the school district's treating them really well. Okay. So we're gonna close that item. And are there anything, board members, that we need to agendize for future meetings?
We'll work on that, the changing room. I want to get some more information.
Explore locker room ideas or locker ideas.
Yep.
I may have rushed the SBAC data comparison, if it's unembargoed in the
Yes,
next 2 weeks,
yeah,
and hopefully we'll get there, and then I could do a presentation on that.
That would be wonderful. Any other requests? Yeah, just any, I know you always do this, but just any updates after the talks or not with the developers and the other
Yeah, I'll send an email to you guys right away as soon as I hear something.
financial people. Mr. Gutierrez, I don't know if you'd be interested in this, but I know the Monterey County Weekly last week ran a little thing about taking students to Hamilton, and they had a hard time, they didn't have any pictures, and they had almost no quotes from kids,
Oh my
so
gosh,
I thought, we could do better.
yeah.
So potentially reaching out to them and saying, hey,
And the California.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Carlos would be a great person to reach out to in terms of the story.
Okay.
Eduardo, right?
Eduardo,
Yeah.
in fact, if you got an extra ticket, why don't you just see if you can invite him to go along, you can just tell the stories on the inside. You can embed him in.
Oh, I like that term.
Yeah, we'll embed him in.
Thanks, PW.
To be an embedded reporter.
Yes. Anti-excursion.
Yeah.
All right, so we are disbanding at 7:32 according to that. It's 7:37. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.